One sense that is very important for maintaining orientation for people who are blind or deafblind is their kinesthetic sense, which can enable them to know how far they are walking and how much they are turning. This video will show some exercise to develop the kinesthetic sense. We will start out with a simple exercise of measuring distance when walking straight. Barbara, who has a restricted visual field because of retinitis pigmentosa, and I are in the corner of a large room, and I have placed a camera case next to one of the walls, about 20 feet from the corner of another wall that has windows. I'll call that the window wall. I am showing Barbara that I want her to square off on the window wall about 2 to 3 feet from the corner and close her eyes while walking parallel to the other wall and stop just before she thinks she is passing the camera case. Barbara walks over to the window wall, closes her eyes, and uses her cane to walk forward. Her cane touches the wall that is beside her, as if she is searching for the camera case with her cane.
Just walk straight forward. In fact, if you're worried about hitting the wall, why don't you come a little bit away from the wall? And it's a measure of distance. It's not like checking where is that, but just walking forward until you think, boom, I'm right there. Open your eyes and see how you did.
Barbara stops when she has only about a foot to go before she would reach the camera case.
Wow, open your eyes. Not bad. I'd say that's good enough. Do you want to try it again, see if you can get even closer? Great.
Barbara walks forward with her eyes closed again and stops at almost the same place she did before.
No, I think it's only.
I think that's exactly where you were last time. So you're a little bit short. In fact, I think you're a little shorter than you were.
Barbara walks forward with her eyes closed and again stops when she still has another foot to walk before reaching the camera case.
Eyes open, and how'd you do?
See, I think I'm right there, but I'm not.
You're not.
When people have difficulty with a kinesthetic task, I usually have them do it while using another sense. So I ask Barbara to do it with her vision. For students who have no vision, I ask them to use the sound of my voice. And for those who are deaf and blind, I have them use their sense of touch.
So what I'd like you to do now is walk back to the wall, eyes open. Okay, walk again, eyes open, and watch that thing. Walk up to it while you're watching. In fact, I'll stand where it is.
You can stand.
Okay, so just walk with your eyes open until you're right at it. Yeah, keep your eyes open and just to get a sense of, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do that one more time. Eyes open.
I'm not counting, but I am a counter.
I know, it's hard not to. Okay, so you ready to try it now with your eyes closed?
Yeah.
With her eyes closed, Barbara walks about a foot past the camera case.
Wow, that's interesting. Eyes open. You went past it.
I was trying to make myself go further because I keep.
Were you? Okay. All right. Well, you did. I'm wondering if those walking a couple times had you kind of get an internal feeling for where it was, and then you said, "I'll go past where that feels right."
That's what I did.
Yeah. Okay. So try it again.
Barbara goes back and squares off on the wall. She walks forward and stops when she is exactly beside the camera case.
Open your eyes. Yay! Yay is right. Nice going. High five.
Yay!
Boom.
I got it.
Now we'll see Brian doing the same exercise. Brian is deaf and is still learning to use the cane. He is standing with his back against one wall near a corner, and his destination landmark is a window along the wall to his left, about 25 feet from his starting point. The first time he tried walking to the window, he stopped when he was less than 2 feet away from it. The second and third times he does it perfectly and stops exactly next to the window.
Wonderful. Perfect. Wow, nice. It is hard, yes.
Brian signs that walking to the window was difficult and explains that his cane technique was wrong. I said I was surprised that he could notice that while concentrating on his kinesthetic activity. With someone who is still learning to use the cane, I always explain that while they are doing these exercises, we will not pay attention to their cane technique, since they shouldn't be distracted from the exercise, and at this stage of learning to use the cane, they need to be allowed to practice it without any distractions. Next, I ask Brian to walk from his starting point till he stands next to a thermostat hanging on the wall beside him, about 15 to 20 feet away. On his first trial, he passed it by only a few inches, and I was satisfied, but Brian wasn't. On the second trial, he stopped short of it by about a foot. And on the third trial, it was perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. Wonderful.
With these exercises, it's important to choose a location where there are no clues or landmarks to indicate where you are. For example, don't practice where there are changes in floor surfaces, such as carpets, or where there are intersecting hallways or open doors that can be detected with echolocation, or any bright lights that could be detected by students with their eyes closed. Students can develop the ability to turn accurately by having them turn to face the wall when they think they are beside the landmark, as Barbara did when she thought she was beside the camera case. One fun version of this is to walk along the front of a row of chairs or pews, and when you think you are in the middle of the aisle between the chairs, turn 90 degrees and start walking down the aisle a few feet. The chairs are not high enough to be easily detected with echolocation except by an advanced student. This skill can then be developed for judging longer distance outside, such as we are doing here, as we walk along one sidewalk and judge when we reach an intersecting sidewalk with stairs on our left. Once the students are able to judge distances and make accurate turns, they are ready to do an exercise that combines distance and turns, which is to walk around an object and return to the origin. For this exercise, they start with their back to a wall, as I am showing Brian, after they have familiarized themselves with the location of a chair or other object that is placed about 10 or 20 feet in front of them. I am demonstrating what to do. With my eyes closed, I walk forward from the wall, go to the right of the chair and walk around it without touching it, and try to return to the same place I started on the wall, but I turned too much and arrived at the wall to the left of the landmark, and I explained to Brian that I did it wrong. Now Brian tries it. After giving me his cane, he walks forward, goes to the right of the chair and about 4 feet beyond it, then turns around and starts coming back on the other side of the chair, but turns a little to the right and ends up reaching the wall about 6 feet to the right of his landmark. I said he was wrong, and then I showed him where he went, saying that he did it perfectly until he came around the other side of the chair, where he veered to the right instead of coming left to the landmark. He tries it again and does much better, coming around the chair and then going straight to the wall, so he arrived about 2 feet to the right of the landmark. But when he does it again, he does it perfectly. After he passes the chair and goes around it, he shifts to the left as he walks just enough to reach the landmark exactly. I laughed and signed, "Oh my God, you improved tremendously. I'm so impressed. Very skillful."
Wow, I'm so impressed. Ooh, skilled. Wonderful, wonderful.
When Barbara tried this exercise, she always got around the chair very well, but then aimed the wrong way to get back to her starting point. As I do every time a student still has difficulty after several trials, I asked Barbara to do it with her eyes open after showing her what she was doing
You
wrong.
get so close to it. You have touched it, but it's because you're so close and just like, you can almost like see that you're visioning where that is. But then when you get over here, you do some funky stuff. In one case, you turned away from the outlet, and in another case, you just went.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do
Why?
is try now with your eyes open.
Okay.
So just
But
walk.
not like constantly looking down?
No, whatever you need to do,
Okay.
because you're going to be getting a sense of how it feels to do it.
I think.
Now notice when you come here, where the outlet is.
With her eyes open, Barbara walks around the chair and then gets in front of it to turn and face the wall. I encouraged her to walk more smoothly around the chair.
You can do that, and we'll go ahead and take that. I would rather you develop more sense of a fluid movement. So rather than, in fact, if you could step aside for just a second, could you move over to your left?
Yeah.
So one way is to do it, walk up until you think you're almost, right at it, and do a turn and walk around it, get to where you think you're in front of it, and then do a sharp turn. That's not how you're going to be walking in life.
No.
So normally you're going to be more fluid. So I'd like you to develop that sense of distance and movements more fluidly. So just walking, aiming to the right of the chair, aiming to go, with your eyes open.
Now that Barbara has done it several times with her eyes open, she is ready to try it again with her eyes closed. She walks smoothly to the right of the chair and around it, then walks back exactly to her starting point. Perfect job!
Yay!
Nailed it! Yes, right.
Wait to see if I got it or not.
So it helped then for you to open your eyes and look, walk through it by looking, and then when you closed your eyes, you kind of had this inner sense of where how you needed to go. Beautifully done.
The last exercise is for students to learn to resume their line of travel after walking around an obstacle, such as a car that's blocking the crosswalk. During this exercise, I also make sure students know how to get around obstacles safely, that is, without sidestepping and while moving the cane in an arc in front of them. First, I showed Brian the wrong way to do it, keeping the cane in touch with the chair while I walked around it. Then I showed him the right way, moving the cane in an arc in front of me as I walked, touching the chair only when the arc of the cane reached toward it.
Check here. Empty over there.
Once students have learned how to walk safely around obstacles, we start the exercise with the student and me standing about 20 to 40 feet apart with an obstacle, usually our reliable chair, between us. The student is supposed to walk straight toward me until the cane detects the obstacle, walk around the obstacle, and then resume the line of travel and reach me. Many students will veer at least a little before reaching the obstacle, as Brian does here, which means they miss the obstacle and can't benefit from this exercise. So I usually ask them to follow my voice or use their vision until their cane reaches the obstacle, and then at that point I become quiet or they close their eyes so they can complete the exercise without any vision or guidance. Brian starts walking toward me with his eyes open. When his cane touched the chair, I signed for him to close his eyes, and he walked around the chair while moving the cane in an arc in front of him and came exactly toward me.
Very nice, very nice.
He did the same thing the second time he tried it, walking with his eyes open until he reached the chair, then closing his eyes and walking around the chair, and then resuming his line of travel to walk directly toward me. Perfect job.
Wow, very nice. Congratulations. We are finished.
Many thanks to Barbara and Brian for allowing us to videotape their lessons. This videotape was made by Donna Sauerberger, COMS, www.sauerberger.org/Donna, www.sauerberger.org/DONA.